What is up, Sleepers Media family? Matt Moderno back with a recap of our mid-major matchup of the week. Santa Clara prevails in this one over Utah Tech. If you listen to the preview, this is basically what we expected from this one, but it was still a good display of all the things that Santa Clara does well that makes them such an interesting team, especially if they can get the way into the tournament. Like at the WCC, probably not going to put a ton of teams into the tournament. Gonzaga, St. Mary's, maybe a third team sneaks in if we're lucky. If Santa Clara can find a way or win the WCC tournament somehow, I think this is a team that could get into the tournament and legitimately win a game. They've got positional size, they've got multiple dudes, and tonight a lot of those things that make them dangerous or on display here. And could they knock off a Gonzaga or St. Mary's along the way? I think this team has the makings to do it. And in this particular game, they were without their best player, Christian Hammond. Was a late scratch for the game with an injury. And that's just pretty impressive to go out and still get it done without your leading scorer. He's a guy that's averaging about 17 points per game this year, 4 rebounds, 2.5 assists from the guard-ish point guard, shooting guard position. He does a little bit of everything for them in the backcourt. So not having him and not knowing you're going to have him to game plan with that in mind until the last minute. I guess he tweaks something going into the pregame shoot around and things like that. So they just decided to not push it, and he'll be day to day. This is already a team without a decent amount of guys available to them already. Jake Ensminger is a guy that they expected to play a 6'9" forward, junior forward from Germany that's just out indefinitely, dealing with an injury as well. Garrick Norman, who transfers in, another guard on this team with some positional size, is out indefinitely with a foot injury he sustained on the first day of practice. Chris Taggio, 6'8" forward for the sophomore forward for them that has some talent and some long-term potential is out for with a season-ending injury. So like they're actually down some bodies and still pretty deep. This is a team that's going to put a lot of pressure on you. Hopefully, some of you go out and watch this game after the fact if you didn't already, or maybe you did watch it, which is awesome. But go watch this team later in the year. Like Santa Clara plays a fun brand of basketball again. They scored 90 points in this game. They've done it high scoring affairs or slog it out defensively if they need to, but they can put up points and they're going to force a lot of turnovers, which they did tonight. And I'll get to that here in a second. But they are pressuring full court. They're picking guys up full court. They're sending waves of bodies at you. And they'll go legitimately 10 deep when they get a couple of those key guys back. And I think that's huge. This game was just bananas, kind of, to be honest with you. Like there were moments where it looked like Santa Clara was going to blow it out early, and then they sort of chilled out for a bit, and Utah Tech slowly chipped away at it, got it back down to like 10, 12, that sort of ballpark, and Santa Clara would get it back up to 16, 17, 18, and then sort of chill back out for a while. This game was Jalen Williams night. If you're an NBA fan, Jalen Williams of the Oklahoma City Thunder, maybe you're not familiar, but he went to Santa Clara to play for Herb Sendek, same guy that coached James Harden back in the Arizona State days. Obviously, Brandon Pajemski for the Warriors came from the school as well. He's a dude who can produce like heliocentric guards, and Jalen Williams was essentially a guard for this team, where teams run around them offensively and they have high usage. And those guys just have had success in the NBA because that's something that translates. And Jalen Williams talked about this tonight, actually, and I'll get to his media availability here a little bit. But Jalen Williams was not heavily recruited, and Herb Sendek was like one of the few guys that offered him, but also the only coach that like pressed for him and showed up at his games and tried to like really make the hard sell here. And obviously that worked out because they won a decent amount of games together and didn't have crazy tournament success or anything like that. It was also partially during COVID, so I think that threw some things off as well. But they're going to get dudes because Herb Sendek has a good eye for talent, and they develop guys well too. So this is a program that if he stays there for a while and Gonzaga now leaves the WCC, like it's them, San Francisco, St. Mary's, I think are kind of a three-horse race for who rises to the top here. And maybe this could be a school that fills the void here a little bit. It's a cool home arena. Obviously got some legacy guys like Kurt Rambis went here back in the day, and he had a cool moment tonight, along with Steve Nash as well, obviously a famous Santa Clara alum here. So let's just talk about some of the shenanigans that went on here during the game. There was like fans were kind of going crazy at certain points, and the players you could like see and look up every once in a while because it's not a crazy big or packed arena. So when there's a commotion, you know what's going on. That was Jalen Williams coming in and sitting in a seat. And there was another moment where people got really excited and started lining up for autographs because Sam Presti, the general manager of the Thunder, was in the crowd as well. That was distracting. At halftime of this game, they did a raise the jersey into the rafters ceremony for Jalen Williams, which was really cool to see. His family was there. They did an awesome tribute video. Kurt Rambis got up there and showed off all of his NBA championship rings and congratulated Jalen Williams on joining the NBA champion family, which was pretty cool to see. And then Jalen Williams did halftime media session for all of us to talk to, and go through sort of his Santa Clara experience. And we've talked a lot on just other Sleepers podcast about some of the players coming back to be the GMs for their school, Steph Curry going to Davidson, things like that. Would not shock me to see Jalen Williams, maybe he's a little further along in his career, come back to Santa Clara and do something like that. He's back there a lot. Apparently, the players saw him early in the year and he kind of worked out with them and stuff and helped them get ready, which is really cool for these guys. It's funny, they have a player right now, Elijah Mahi. If you listened to the preview podcast, like Elijah is a very good player. He's not Jalen Williams, but they look kind of similar physically. And it's funny, like Jalen Williams is wearing number 8 for the Thunder. Elijah Mahi wears number 8 for Santa Clara, and just they're like 6'7", similar build, a little bit thicker, and Mahi will like grab and go and just create off the break, and they're not afraid to let their essentially their power forward, start plays and initiate offense. So it was sort of Jalen Williams light, and he did not have a good shooting night tonight, but he just draws so much attention. Mahi finishes 4 of 14 from the field, was 3 of 7 from three though, which was good to see. Had 13 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. Overall, was a productive player for this team. He had 3 steals as well, 3 turnovers mitigated a little bit of the positive impact there, but he's just a good player, and he missed some shots tonight. He looked a little out of sorts at times. They missed a couple bunnies. I know this sounds kind of stupid, but Santa Clara had like probably 5 clean threes, hit every part of the rim, be 90% down and roll out. Like this, half of those go down, and this game gets even more out of hand. Uh, let's see. Let's go out down the list here. Brenton Naper, one of their point guards on the team here, stepped up in the absence of Christian Hammond. 4 of 14, didn't shoot it well tonight, but 10 points, 8 assists, was really good at getting people involved. Was 2 of 10 from 3-point line and kind of forced a few at a certain point. I think it was like a stubborn, I'm not a bad shooter, so clearly I'm going to get hot here. And he didn't. Thierry Darlin comes over from the G League. Didn't have a particularly great performance, but you could see he's got some things there. He still looks a little physically underdeveloped for a guy that played at least some level of professional basketball. You wonder what the weight training program is like in the G League because he still looks young despite being like junior age, college age wise. But 6'7", athletic, has some tools, looks like he can shoot it, although he went 0 of 4 tonight. Alan Graves was probably the most impressive player, another front court player, 6'8", 8'9" ish guy for Santa Clara, 6 for 12 or 6 for 12 for the night, 13 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 steals, 3 blocks. He was everywhere. He played 30 minutes in this game. Actually, I'll jump to the other part of like kind of crazy shenanigans thing I mentioned here. Late in this game, Santa Clara was just sort of playing with their food, as I mentioned at the onset here, and could have put this one away multiple times. They got the lead up to 20, and then they would kind of like frivolously throw it away with a dumb turnover, a couple bad missed threes for runouts and things like that in a row, and Utah Tech cut it to 9, and we're like, oh, this is not great for Santa Clara. They look like they're panicking. They were throwing the ball away late. They had 3 turnovers in the final 6 possessions, or something to that effect, maybe 7 possessions. And they get it down to 7, and Graves just says, "Nope, I'm taking this one." He catches a nice pass around the 3-point line, takes one dribble, and basically takes a step and a dunk, and puts like a guy on an absolute poster. Catches a body, dunks, turns around, screams, fist pumps, And right as he does it, Chance Trujillo, the point guard for Texas Tech, turns around and basically just wrong place, wrong time, gets his face yelled in from Graves and takes exception to it and just slugs Graves in the face. And we're like, whoa, okay, did not expect that kind of reaction here. Graves is probably 6 inches bigger than him and just like a big solid dude. Had to be like restrained by like four people. He was heated because he took an absolute cheap shot. I didn't like the move from Trujillo at all. He wasn't even the guy that got dunked on. He was just sort of an unfortunate bystander who got yelled in the direction of, essentially, not even yelled at. It was just like a guttural scream from Graves. And I don't know, Trujillo just sort of happened to turn into it or was startled by the noise and turned around and reacted. He was clearly like knew it was a dumb move as they waited for it to be adjudicated. Essentially, a bunch of technicals were called across the board here. Both teams were hot after that. It was just a weird end to a sort of weird game. I think all these players knew stuff was going on with the Jalen Williams night thing, and it just sort of threw a little bit of a pall over what was an entertaining up and down game. Santa Clara doesn't even play particularly well in this one overall. They shot 47% from the field, which was fine. That compares to Utah Tech's 49%. Santa Clara was 30% from three to Utah Tech's 34% from three. Santa Clara was not good from the free throw line tonight. Nobody got there a ton. There just weren't a lot of shooting fouls in this game. Santa Clara 7 of 13, so 54% to Utah Tech's 8 of 8 for 100%. So you're like, okay, well, Utah Tech is better in every offensive category here, basically. What's the difference? Well, 22 turnovers were forced by Santa Clara. So Utah Tech coughs it up 22 times. Santa Clara still coughs it up 14, which they want to clean up, obviously. But that eight, turnover discrepancy led to a bunch of extra shot attempts for Santa Clara, and I think that was the real difference maker in this game. Santa Clara has 18 second chance points to Utah Tech's 8. That's a 10-point differential, and this is a 10-point game. Like that was pretty impactful. The teams were even on the boards at 36 each. Both had a lot of points in the paint. There was not a lot of rim protection going on here, which was interesting because Santa Clara has some big athletic dudes. Specifically Buki Aboye. Like he is 7 feet tall and long and lanky. Plays 25 minutes in this game, and I just felt like he could have been more impactful defensively. Has no block shots, no steals. That's 14 points and 8 rebounds. Like he wasn't bad. He had 3 assists too. I think the other really good thing that makes Santa Clara dangerous is 26 assists on let's see, 36 made field goals. That's really good. And that unselfishness allowed them to have six different guys in double figures. That doesn't happen a ton for a bunch of mid-major teams where they're that deep. And realistically, Thierry Darlin, who only had 6 points, like he could have probably ended up, pretty easily in double digits too if he'd, made the free throws, or actually he didn't miss any free throws today. He missed a bunch of threes. That was what it was. But they got guys, and you add their best player back to this. I think they're dangerous. That's another guy that would have been double figures here. And I think this is just like I said from the start here, a fun team worth your time and attention. So I appreciate anybody who made an attempt to watch this game, or will go back and watch it after the fact here. One other guy worth shouting out is Sash Gavulagov. Gavulagov, that's a tough one to say. He's Bulgarian, a backup point guard, transfers in from Villanova, doesn't play at all last year, and looked like a good player to me for a redshirt freshman. It seems like a team at Villanova that could have used him. Just really solid game manager, I thought, in this one. Has 14 points, 4 of 9 from the field, 3 of 8 from three. Shot looked clean, had 3 rebounds, 5 assists, had a steal. Only played 23 minutes, but I thought he was good at breaking the press. Just another guy to keep in mind. And I think sometimes when you lose a guy like Hammond in a game like this, Gavulagov is a guy that had to step up in his absence, and I thought looked pretty good. Darlin got the start, but Gavulagov was probably more impactful as another ball handler here tonight. So overall, an impressive game. Let's see if there's anything else in my notes worth talking about here. Just want to throw a shout out to Ethan Potter from Utah Tech. We mentioned him. He's a guy that spent 3 years at Utah Valley playing behind Carter Welling, who's now like killing it in per minute stats for Clemson. Might actually be the best power forward on Clemson, even though he doesn't start behind Nick Davidson. Potter's just good. He's like an old school 6'8" low post guy. He struggled a little bit with the length here, which makes me question if like he could have been a guy who up transferred instead of down transferred for some opportunity. But 6 of 9 from the field, had 12 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists. He was really good at waiting to draw the double team, and they basically did have to double him and send two, unless Graves was on him. Graves had the length to give him some trouble. He had 4 turnovers tonight because he was forcing things a little bit at a certain point, but just a talented guy that won't get any like national coverage at any point because he's on Utah Tech, but a solid college basketball player, and I like shouting some of those guys out. Madiba Awonu also on their team. Awona, excuse me. Madiba Awona. Want to get that right. 25 points tonight, 9 of 14, 5 of 9 from three. He was huge for them offensively. Brito Barrett also good. Uh, or excuse me, Britton Barrett. I don't know why I said Brito. Also a good shooter and somebody that they had to pay attention to. He was 4 or 5 from three tonight for 17 points. I thought his spacing allowed Potter to get some better looks and then kick it out to other guys for threes. So this self-fulfilling prophecy of like he created space for Potter, Potter created double teams and kickouts for guys, and then who created more space. So it was actually a pretty competent offensive performance from Utah Tech. They just didn't have the horses. Like that's just kind of unfortunately what it comes down to. But a scrappy team, and in the WAC, I wouldn't be surprised to see Utah Tech make a little push for some relevance there. They were picked seventh in the preseason poll for that league, and I don't think this is a seventh place team in the WAC. So that's really the gist of this particular game. If there are other mid-major teams you want to see us spotlight throughout the year, we'll get more of them going. I just had an opportunity to be at this game, and I thought Jalen Williams' night was cool. And Herb Sendek talked about after the impact he's had, and I think that's another big factor for some of these mid-major teams. One of the reasons Gonzaga was able to get it going there was because they had guards that like established themselves, and then they had some bigs, and like over time, uh, they were able to just show like we can get guys to the league, real players come here. Like Dan Dickau was like the first guy I remember for Gonzaga, and then you end up with the Adam Morrisons of the world, Ronny Turgeoff. Like they just slowly trickled in dudes over time, and now you've got Jalen Williams. Now you've got Brandon Pajemski, even Adama Alpha Ball, who was on the team last year. One, just an awesome name, but two, I think he's a guy that will eventually spend some amount of time on an NBA roster. So I don't know of these groups who could be the next one to do it here. Buke Aboye maybe is a guy. He's a sophomore, 7 foot tall player, like we mentioned, 14 and 8 tonight. Could eventually find himself, in that consideration a year or two from now. So it's interesting, and I think they'll be able to get more transfers. And could Christian Hammond or somebody like that turn himself into an NBA player with some time? It remains to be seen, but just overall interesting and a fun game, and just nice to watch some variability for basketball. If you're ever in the Santa Clara area out here in Northern California, go check a game out there. It's a cool, nice arena, like I mentioned, and you get a very good vantage point from anywhere in the arena too, which isn't always the case with some of these like weird on-campus gyms and things like that too. So thanks for checking this out, and we'll be back with more mid-major matchups of the week here on Sleepers Media.